Hi guys, today I'm going to show you a vocabulary activity that I found on eisforexplorer.com. Um, Let me explain all three parts and then I'll go into more detail about each section. So, the first item you'll need is a hat full of vocabulary words or sight words, whichever the teacher prefers. It's normally words you've been working on in class with the students, so they have a chance to complete the task. Then the second one is the spinner. They would normally have like a little spinny thing in the middle, but I didn't have that part. But you guys understand the concept. So this shows you. So the students will either have to act, draw, rhyme, or define their word. They might also have to put it in a sentence, name what part of speech it is, or give a synonym or an antonym to that word. So not only does this help the students' vocabulary skills, but it also helps their language skills, which is nice because we all know as a teacher you work on multiple things or multiple skills within an activity. So the third piece is a tally sheet, which has a box for each action or whatever the student needs to do. So act, draw, rhyme, define, part of the sentence, part of speech, sentence, synonym, antonym. But anyways, so let's get started. So the first piece, you will have the student come up to the front. They'll have a chance to spin the spinner. Whatever it lands on, that's what they have to do. So say I spun it and it landed on, like, acted out. So we would have that on the desk. Then they would get to reach in a hat and pull out a vocabulary word. So, okay. And then they get to look at it. Okay, this one says paint. Then put this to the side so then another student doesn't get the same word because, say that student also pulls out paint and it lands on acted out. They might use the same thing as another student. So we don't want that to happen because we want to see the students being creative, using their imagination to do this. And this also helps you get to know your kids a little bit more and how creative their minds are. So for acted out, if I got paint, I would come up and maybe like act like I'm dipping the paintbrush in a paint can and then painting a building or something like that. But you have to reiterate that the students cannot verbally say the word that is on the piece of paper or sign the word. So they couldn't say, they couldn't sign, sorry. And they couldn't say, oh, well, I paint a house for acted out. But maybe for, use it in a sentence, they could say that. So you would have to explain a little bit more to students, and this is for an older group that would understand each part on this, but it's super fun, super interactive, and it kind of disguises learning as a fun competitive game for kids. And if they can try to beat their peers, it also helps them be more engaged in completing the task or the activity that you have at hand. So then with the tally sheet, if they get it correct, so if they act it out correctly, define it correctly, whatever on the spinner wheel that they land on, if they do it correctly, then they get a tally mark in that box. And whoever has the most tally marks overall, you would have them at the very end, you would have them added up and put a number at the bottom of each box and then add them all together for a total. And whoever has the highest total wins a prize at the end. So it kind of gives them an incentive to actually try and try to compete against their peers and kind of have fun. So, yeah, that's my game. Thanks, guys.